quarter of black teenage boys in middle and high school in Indiana have been suspended, according to federal data. A Call 6 investigation found all black students in our state are more likely to be disciplined and arrested in Indiana schools than students of other races.
And it's a problem our Kara Kenny has been digging into for months. She explains how this disparity affects all of us, including our pocketbooks.
Nicole Kenny lives on the east side with her two teenage boys, 14-year-old William and 16-year-old Quintez.
I worry about them every single day because of the color of their skin. They already stereotype before they get into the school.
Both boys have been disciplined in school. Most recently, Quintez received a 15-day out-of-school suspension. William got 10 days. Nicole says Quintez stood up for his brother who was being bullied, but the bully, who is white, was back in school after 3 days.
That was very discriminating. That was very treated unfairly. We don't want to see our young black boys out here in the streets. You suspending them for 10 days, what good is that going to do for them? That means they're at home, they have nothing to do, they're more easy to go out here and commit a crime.
Both boys have changed schools several times and say they want to learn.
So when I got suspended in 2 weeks, I was like, dang, I'm not going to be in school. I'm not going to be able to learn, teach, and I'm going to be missing out on a lot of work.
William and Quintez say they've noticed black students, especially boys, are treated more harshly than other races.
When we get in trouble, it's a bigger consequence.
Yeah, I feel like I've been targeted.
How does that make you feel?
Made me feel like I ain't gonna be nothing. Make me feel like, dang, like is it true what they saying? Make me feel like sad or something.
Nicole and her sons are not alone. Indiana ranks 4th highest in the country when it comes to the rate of out-of-school suspensions for black teens in middle and high school. Nearly a quarter of all black middle and high school students in Indiana have been suspended at least once. Look at Indianapolis Public Schools, the largest district in central Indiana. 48% of the student body is black, yet they make up 64% of in-school suspensions, 71% of out-of-school suspensions, and 73% of expulsions. So why is this happening? We took our questions to Janae Hanger and Dr. Gwen Kelly with the Children's Policy and Law Initiative of Indiana.
We got to take a really hard look at when we bring down that hammer.
They say one reason for the disparity is zero tolerance policies that don't take into account why students behave a certain way.
As the mantra has been to crack down on crime, we've also tried to crack down on kids.
Another reason, implicit bias among teachers and administrators.
We all have bias. And bias is you know, it's assumptions we make about the things in our lives and the people that we engage with.
Black students are more likely to attend schools that don't have the resources to deal with student behavior.
When you look at the data and see the reasons why students are suspended, it's defiance, disrespect, and things, insubordination, things that are more subjective.
The disparity is happening with arrests as well. State data shows African American students make up 12% of the state's student population, yet they comprise 26% of arrests on school property. And this problem impacts all of us. The school to prison pipeline study shows Indiana students who get in trouble at school are more likely to get arrested and end up in prison.
They face collateral consequences that follow them and that make it disadvantage them being successful.
We, the Hoosier taxpayers, pay $77,000 a year to confine a single young person. That's more than it costs to send your child to college for a year. Hanger and Kelly say part of the solution is training for teachers and school administrators on things like implicit bias, trauma, and cultural competency. As part of the Positive School Discipline Institute program, they've trained 34 schools so far, teaching school leaders to focus on why students behave the way they do.
No, we're not saying children should come to school and cuss everybody out. We're not saying that kids should come to school and fight. But usually there's a reason behind what happened.
Nicole Kenny says a lot of it comes down to cultural and communication differences. She says another solution, schools need to hire more staff that come from the same background as their students.
Dig down and see what the problem is. Some of these kids are waking up every day in an abandoned house. and come into school. These teachers don't know that. Some of these kids come home every day to no food. So I feel like if they have more teachers and more counselors in the school that come from the environments in the neighborhood that these kids are coming from, they will have a better understanding and they will have a different discipline plan for these children.
We want to hear from you. What are your ideas to address the discipline disparity in Indiana classrooms? We're live right now on the RTV6 Facebook page with voices. Join our discussion right now. We're getting a lot of really good comments, and we might include some of those on the news tonight at 11. Join us right now.
And tonight, Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny takes you inside a high school that's taking a unique approach to address the problem.
On the west side near the White River sits a school that does things a little differently. This is Indianapolis Metropolitan High School, or Indy Met for short, home to 270 students. 92% of them are students of color, like Kirsten Manuel. She's whipping up smoothies as part of her job in the school's coffee shop, but her high school journey has been anything but smooth.
So I got in a lot of trouble, got in a lot of fights.
Kirsten was expelled from a public school district in which black students make up 68% of expulsions and only 40% of the student population.
The teachers really gave up on me. I have anger issues, so and not really be able to control them. I just popped off easily.
Nearly all of the students here have a barrier of some kind, including homelessness, teen pregnancy, or involvement in foster care or the criminal justice system. Most come as juniors or seniors.
The juniors on average have been to 2 other high schools before they get to us, and the seniors on average have been to 3 other high schools.
Principal Christina Lear says Indy Met helps students address things like anger and trauma. In this room, a staff member meets with students to talk about their feelings.
What we're trying to teach students is that you don't need to get in a fight, you don't need to yell at anyone. You can work it out together through communication skills. But communication skills are something you have to teach. It's not something that always comes naturally.
In this group, Kirsten is talking about a conflict that upset her.
I just feel like she was talking to my cousin a type of way. I didn't like it.
Another method is the peace path, where students talk about their conflict.
You posted something on Facebook that wasn't true, and that really made you upset.
And try to resolve it.
In the future, I think if you just come to Zoe, I think things will be okay. She'll be able to explain her side, what was going on.
Outside of each room sits a green chair where students can sit and catch their breath.
Have you ever used the green chair?
Yes. You didn't like what the teacher said. You can just sit out. They can have a green chair pass, sit out 5 minutes, calm down, collect yourself, go back in.
Indy Met participated in a year-long training through the Positive School Discipline Institute. Since Indy Met started these restorative practices in 2017, they've reduced out-of-school suspensions by 51% and expulsions by 81%. What does that say to you?
It says that it's working. It says that students want to learn, they want to graduate, they want to be successful, but sometimes they need extra supports and teaching to be able to do that.
Studies show Indiana students who get in trouble at school are more likely to become part of the criminal justice system. Indy Met wants to keep its students out of that system and on the path to graduation.
We want to make sure that our students are not having a disproportionate amount of interactions with police, and so we try to make sure that behaviors that we can handle at the school level, we handle at the school level.
But most schools are not taking the approach Indy Met does. Statewide data shows African American students make up 12% of the state student population, yet they comprise 26% of arrests on student property.
It's a huge problem.
Jane Henniger is the executive director of the ACLU of Indiana.
Many children of color attend under-resourced schools, and so that really sets those children up for failure.
Jane says investing in counselors, social workers, and other supports for students' mental health is key to addressing the racial disparities in school discipline.
If we know that students of color are more likely to be disciplined, more harshly disciplined for the exact same behavior than white students, we need to own up to that and do something about it.
Indy Met is trying to do something about it by eliminating barriers for students, like providing free childcare to teenage parents. Kirsten Manuel dreams of becoming a firefighter and helping to save others the way Indy Met has saved her.
How has this school helped you realize that you can be a firefighter?
It's made me see clear. Like, I can actually be somebody. I can actually graduate. I can actually go to college. I can do anything I want to do if I know who I am.
Kara Kenny, RTV6.